Usher is the founder of Cheeky Investor, an online financial education site targeted for millennials. He is also a successful business advisor, mentor and professional speaker who promises to share the secrets and strategies of the most successful people from across the globe with clients so they too can build wealth. He has a vision to improve half the world's wealth and generate 100,000 millionaires through finance and business education, knowing that people who are financially stable can offer to give back to those less fortunate. Phil lives by the motto of always be curious, which has led him to undertake professional wrestling training, run for a state election seat for the Labor Party, and become one of the only Indigenous treasurers for a national charity in Australia. Welcome, Phil. Thanks so much for joining us.
It's great to be here. It's awesome.
To start with, do you just want to tell us about the journey that led you to start your own business?
Yeah, so my first business I started, it was in the wedding industry, and it was just a frustration when I was getting married. You know, every weekend we were meeting up with like a photographer or a celebrant or a cake maker, and during that time I'm just like, can't this be done online? Can't I just, you know, talk to people through social media or something? And then after my wedding, I pitched an idea to my brother-in-law, and it was essentially Expedia, but for weddings. So you go on there, plan, book and pay for your wedding online. The funny thing was that he'd been married about 5 years before and had a similar thought. So yeah, he's like a programmer. We coded up a website, and that's how I first got into entrepreneurship, probably out of just a frustration. And then, you know, later on we ended up acquiring another business and sold that out, and I've moved on to something that I'm probably much more better at. You know, weddings was just a frustration and probably a little stubborn more than anything. And I do financial education targeted to mainly people under 40.
So following on from that, did you always know you wanted to be an entrepreneur?
Absolutely not. So I grew up, my background, come from an Aboriginal family. We grew up Aboriginal Housing Commission area. And the idea of entrepreneurship or owning a business or anything like that was so far removed from what we grew up with. You know, that's something that kind of, you know, other people did, and you just had no exposure to that area. So entrepreneurship's completely foreign. I've just learned about it sort of in the last 10 years. And to give you an idea of how naive I am, I remember the first time, it was probably about 8 years ago, I actually learned about the process of raising capital and venture capital and angel investors, and I'm just like, people are going to give you money for your business idea? Strangers hand over money for that? It just blew my mind completely that, yeah, that happens. So not at all, wasn't even in my vocabulary growing up, so yeah, just fell into it.
What is one action or task you ensure you incorporate to your diary?
What I always do on a weekly basis is I get some guitar time in. I enjoy playing the guitar. For me, that's like it's kind of a meditation type of process, because you just block out the rest of the world. You're just there trying to learn that riff, learn that song, and you kind of get carried away, you know, performing that music. And it's really kind of structured the rhythm part of it, so it's almost like a meditation for me. But it's also one of those things where you can use, you know, sort of like both sides of your brain. You've got that structured part of your brain where you're learning the song, you're learning how the notes are put together, the structures of the key, and then the solo, and then understanding how the artist has put it together. But then you can use a creative side, which is really fun, and you kind of do your own cover of that song. So you might, you know, do it in a different key, you might speed up the melody, slow the melody down, and just change up a few different licks as well. So it's one of those rare things that you actually get to, you know, it's got that bit of structure, but you can also have some fun and creativity with it as well. So definitely play the guitar at least once a week.
What do you attribute your success to?
Yeah, so for me, success is always, you know, it's sort of a snapshot in time. Like, I don't think success is like a definitive end game. So you could be a success this week, and then, you know, you could be invested in the stock market and it crashes next week. Then you've got to sort of, you know, pull yourself back from that. But I think success, from what I've gathered so far, is just from reading, like being a relentless reader. You know, I wasn't much of a reader in sort of, you know, high school, because we always had those fiction books and I just couldn't get into that type of stuff. But it wasn't until, you know, I was living on the Central Coast, I was travelling into Sydney every day, so I had, you know, 2 to 3 hours of train time to kill, that I started reading all these, you know, various non-fiction books. And then I started reading, you know, because of my background when I was 16, that's when I just had that natural curiosity. I'm like, what other people have, you know, wealth and money and that type of stuff. It was just something that I was interested in and started reading. And that's really the only difference between, I think, success and failure is just the knowledge. Knowing how to implement it and just knowing what's out there. Like I said before, I had no idea that venture capital or angel investing existed until I started reading books and understanding. So, try and read, sort of at least a book a fortnight is what I try and do.
And to finish today, what local entrepreneur do you find inspiring?
Yeah, so I've probably got two that I find inspiring. One's relatively new, and that's Jess, the founder of Crave, the app that's Tinder for food. That's like a really cool idea. After meeting her herself, she's really, she just gets to the business arena and understands that marketing and social media, but she's also really humble, and I think she's like 22 or something, which is also, super inspiring. But the other one is, his name's Alfonso, and he runs the Naples Central, the pizza place there in King Street, and I just find his story really inspiring. He came over here from Italy and just couldn't find the pizza that he grew up with. He went back home, he'd done his trade, he learned from some of the best guys over there, and then he come and brought that back to Newcastle. I was fortunate enough to travel to Italy last year, and I can see that he's really captured that. And I think that's what entrepreneurship is. It's just an extension of yourself and who you are personally, and he manages to capture that every single night of the week and creates this really good experience. So I find that ability to do that something just really inspiring.
What a fantastic response. Thank you so much for your time today.
Not a problem. Thanks for having me here.